Some portals lead underground, others lead to the end. This one leads somewhere above the clouds. Welcome to the Aether. This is Minecraft Bedrock's original rendition of the famous Java mod titled The Aether, crafted by the Aether team, and this is in conjunction with Spark Universe. So this is something that a lot of people have been waiting to see for a very long time. As always, you start with a guidebook, but we're not going to go ahead and do it that way. We're kind of going to go through a exploration of a sense, kind of switching back and forth between survival and creative. Now, one of the main methods of transport, if you're starting kind of early out in the Aether, are these grass vines. So I forget the name of them to be exact, but when you break grass, there's a chance for it to drop. Now what that does, it creates kind of like a beanstalk, and you can use that to travel both vertically and horizontally. Now you're probably wondering, how do I get tools to start if I'm starting here from the beginning? So there are trees, and those trees you can use them to create planks, to create wooden tools. Now there is, I guess it was an oversight where you can't create wooden spears, but I think they are aware of that. So now to upgrade from wooden to stone, this is possible inside the Aether. We need something called Holy Stone, I believe it's called, and you can use that to craft the tools. Now that's going to be the same case with the spears. You cannot craft them with that, unfortunately, but like I said, I believe they are aware of that issue. Now, as this gameplay goes through, there are a couple things that I did want to mention. So before I get to that, you can get a lot of the materials that you would in the overworld, such as wool, lamb, pork, leather from cows, which there's also another source of leather, and beef. So you have these animals that are pretty much the equivalent of the overworld version. Now what we have here is something called Zanite. So that's basically the equivalent of iron inside the Aether. Now one thing to take note of is there are some trades with the civilization that you can find throughout that requires iron, and you cannot get iron in here, so you may need to visit the overworld first and get those before you can do some of those trades. So with Zanite, what we're going to do is we're going to create just some basic stuff: pickaxe, sword, and some armor. Now while we kind of gear up and kind of go through that, I'm going to show you the anchor, which basically acts as the same way as the respawn anchor in the Nether, which requires 1 block of ambrosium, which also acts as coal or fuel, and it's surrounded by 8 holy stone, I believe, and you're just going to charge it up with ambrosium, and then it'll set your respawn point. So from here, we're going to try to get across and see how we can travel to the different islands inside the Aether. Now there are a lot of biomes inside this world, and I will not explore all of them for a couple reasons. One, I don't want to spoil anything, and I want you guys to actually experience the add-on, and 2, there's so much to go through that this video would take me forever to go through it. So this ore right here is called Gravitite, which is the next level up from Zanite. These things that I had in my hand there is called, I think they're called sweat droplets, and they act as bone meal. So that's going to become very necessary for you, because you're going to use these vines to travel, and you can bone meal pretty much with those sweat droplets to grow the grass and increase your chances of finding more of those beanstalks. Now their drop rate seems to be really low, which is something that was a little bit frustrating for me, but you can get them. It just takes a while. Let's move on to the dungeons. There are a total of 3 dungeons that contain bosses and are pretty much set in an order of progression. There are a lot more structures aside from these dungeons, but only 3 contain the bosses. The first one, which is the one that we are looking at here in a couple minutes, is the Slider Dungeon. Now the wiki has the coordinates listed to each dungeon, which actually brings me to my next point. So at first, when I heard about this being ported over to Bedrock, I was a little bit upset and a little bit frustrated because I heard that it was being ported as a dynamic world, which is what this is. Now, a dynamic world, as we all know, means that it's a random seed every time, which is true. However, the Aether dimension itself is actually pre-built at 5,000 by 5,000 blocks. Now, I was disappointed about this as much as a lot of other people were, and I am still a little bit bothered by it. Now, I did get some information from them in their Discord that explains the reason why, which is the terrain only allows for specific shapes, which does not allow them to do kind of like an infinite terrain generation. So with that explanation, like, it kind of made me feel a little bit better. But at the end of the day, I still, I hope that things change in the future when the technology does become available. But I do have to say that I really did enjoy this a lot more than I thought. So, there's that. Now, I'm trying to get here some more gravitite before I head inside this dungeon. Now, you will see there's a lot of little sliding blocks that you'll see in tight corridors. They're kind of like the minions before you get to the boss. So this dungeon is pretty big and it's a maze. Now, I was extremely frustrated because I was trying to find where the boss was. Now, it's not like your normal game where if you happen to run across a boss, you'll see their health bar pop up, so you'll know, okay, it's around here. It doesn't work like that. So you actually have to awaken the boss, which we'll see here once we get there. So it's made out of a lot of bricks. They did a beautiful job on the design of this. I really thought this was cool. Now, I don't know if those spikes is supposed to damage me when I'm standing next to it. I don't think it is. It feels like it kind of doesn't make sense, but I don't know. So these blocks are the blocks that I was telling you. So they'll kind of like slide at you in every direction that you go, and they'll kind of like chase you, but they move like in squares, which is very cool. And of course, as you can see, I was unalive quite a few times, but I did find some stuff. Now, each chest, some of them you will find just ready to open, and then others you will need a key to get into. So there's a bronze key, a silver key, and a gold key. Those drop by mobs as a chance, or sometimes you can find them in chests. So I did go into creative at this part here because I kind of wanted to explore a little more. Now these things, we'll see what they do here shortly. So this is about the point where I was getting really frustrated. I was searching about like a good hour and a half trying to find the boss. So you can get lost in here pretty easily. So these things that you saw me trying to destroy earlier, they're like a ranged version of a slider, except they don't move. So if you stand still, you're gonna get hit. Now sometimes inside these chests you do find artifacts in them, and in order to equip them, we have like an artifact item like that hole there, and you just drag it there. So you can only have one of each kind. So after exploring for a long time, I finally found the path in which I needed to go. But before I did, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything else. Now, to go back on my point about the 5,000 by 5,000 pre-built dimension, what that means is that the dimension will be the same every single time. The layout will be the same every time. Now, there are some things that do have random elements, like the loot in the chest is always random. But I believe everything else, like, the way where the ores are found and stuff like that, is going to be the same every time, which is the big downside about it being pre-built. So hopefully, these things change in the future, because I would love to see that and see this improve. So what we have here is the first boss called the Slider. Now what I like about each of the bosses is that they require a bit of strategy to them. It's not hack and slash, and I always find a lot of joy in that. So we're going to gear up, and then we are going to cheat in some enchanted apples, just in case. So you can see this is his arena, and he will not move until you are the first one to attack it. So once we go ahead and do that is when the battle will start and his health bar will show up. So it's a little bit tricky because he's like the sliders that we saw earlier. The one difference about him is that in order to defeat him, you have to destroy the eyes on all 4 sides of him. So once you destroy one side, you will no longer be able to attack that side, and then you have to move until all 4 of them are destroyed. So I will let this battle show you how it goes pretty much, and then the difficulty I had with it. It wasn't too bad, but again, this is the first boss that you need to go against. So I don't expect it to be difficult. Just kind of need to have food and decent armor. I would say go with Gravitite if you can, but you'll see. I'll let you guys enjoy. Alright, so that is it for the Slaughter Boss. Once you defeat him, he will drop a bunch of ancient plates and an ancient shield, which actually has a special ability. If you crouch with it and let go of the crouch button, it'll kind of like knock back any targets in front of you, except for bosses. Obviously it doesn't work for bosses, but it does work for the other mobs, which is pretty cool and comes in handy. So with that out of the way, we're going to head over to the next dungeon, which is the Valkyrie Queen dungeon. This one is very nicely design. Now in order to trigger the boss fight, we are going to need 10, I forget what they're called, but you'll see it. It's a small like goldish circular thing, and you need 10 of them. You need to offer to her in order to initiate the battle. So you can get them from them, these Valkyrie warriors here. Once you defeat them, make sure you press interact and they will drop that item. So another thing to take note of is you can only fight it once and get the honorable win. The second time it just unalives the Valkyrie warrior. Sorry, had a little brain fart there. And that does kind of go against you, when it comes to their kind of like honor system. So they'll start to come after you if you take out too many Valkyrie warriors, or if you unalive their queen, which will show that in a few minutes as well. So kind of going through here, you see there's a lot of locked chests here that require keys. So when you get here, you're gonna want to make sure that you have plenty of those if you want to collect the loot that is in here, because a lot of them are locked. So you can see here, there's more victory medals. Now there's a way to get there, of course, if you have those beanstalk things, which I didn't come prepared, or have any wings or anything like that. So that was my mistake. But I kind of wanted to showcase this dungeon now. Keep in mind, there is a lot to explore in this world. There's so many more structures. There's a lot of different mobs, different biomes that you can go through. There's civilizations that you can trade with. There's so much to do. So that's why I want to leave some of it for you guys to explore this. There's a lot of artifacts. You can upgrade those artifacts, which is something that you're going to want to do if you're going to be exploring this. So just keep that in mind. And in the wiki, like I said, the link does have all that information there for you. It's a lot. So right here is the Valkyrie Queen's room, and we are going to prep ourselves for this battle. I love how she just sits there like she's the queen boss of everybody. It's just so like, it's so cool and menacing. So let's set up our anchor just in case something happens to us. But without further ado, I'll let the Valkyrie Queen's intro take it away and commence the battle. Talk to you soon. So when she started flying here, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit unprepared here. I should have had a bow or a dart gun or something, but I didn't have that. So I just kind of had to wait it out. So it's just a little tip: if you go to fight her, make sure you have one of those things. But the shield does come in real handy. This is when I was tasked with the toughest decision in my life. Should I spare her or should I slay her? But the answer was simple. I wanted her alliance, so I spared her. And plus, it was a fair 1v1 battle. She had her people there, and they never interfered. So if you spare her, she drops the Valkyrie horn, but if you slay her, she drops her sword. But I have heard that slaying her does bring some bugs that they are aware of. So that is all for this dynamic world quick showcase. Again, I didn't show everything because I want you guys to experience it. If you do decide to get this, I would love for you to share your experience in the comments. Now I will leave the link to purchase this with my Minecraft affiliate link in the description and in the top comment. This is no extra cost to you or to me, but it does help to support me. Now with that, a quick announcement. I am now a YouTube partner, so there are some membership options and other ways to support myself as well, if that's something that you would like to do. Without further ado, thank you.